Hey, Dr. Warren from Vibrant Life Oklahoma. And I've always talked a little bit about my personal journey, and I just wanted to kind of go through it with you guys today. I had mentioned at different times that I'd been sick and had recovered from illness, but I never really talked about it, and I didn't realize it until patients started asking me, what happened and how that all went. And so I wanted to share that with you today. So it was about 7 years ago or 8 years ago. I was actually building a big project and not taking good care of myself at all. I was too heavy. Blood sugar was certainly out of control, and just sort of some normal things that I think a lot of normal patients probably face and ignore. And so this is going to be a warning not to ignore this type of stuff. So as the months went on, I'd gotten pneumonia early in the year a couple of times and did a round of antibiotics and improved, but I never quite, shook it all the way. And so it just continued to plague me and really bother me. So it was in April, and I progressively got worse, and I was tired, but I was still working 18 hours a day, building a project and doing some different things. So one night I was actually putting a light up on a ceiling, and I just felt this incredible pain in my chest. And so it literally felt like I was shot. And so when the pain hit, I went ahead and finished what I was doing, and it was suggested to me that I should possibly go to the emergency room or different, something like that. But of course I was stubborn and didn't, along with, some other things that I had done. And so I literally sat there all night. I sat in a chair. And so by the next morning, even walking across the floor was getting, more significantly difficult. And so I actually went to work, saw a couple patients, and just moving up and down the hallway of the office, I was just exhausted. And so I went and saw a friend of mine at an urgent care, and so they shot a film, and I wasn't breathing well, and they shot a film, and they walked back in and stick the film up in front of me, and my buddy goes, "Hey, listen, I'm not even going to argue with you about this. Just look at the film and tell me what you see." So on x-ray, lung fields should be dark and just shouldn't see anything. Bone will light up white because there's restriction of the x-ray going through the film. Well, my lung field on the right side was completely white, which meant it was completely full of fluid. And so he says, you need to go to the hospital. Of course, I begged him. I'm like, "Hey, I'll do another round of antibiotics and I'll be good for, 3 days or something." He's like, "No, you won't be here in 3 days if you don't go in." So I go in, and they decide, we're going to keep him. And so what had happened, the fluid in my lung had consolidated and kind of become semi-solid. And so they tried to pull it out with a needle, but it was just too thick. And so I ended up having a surgery called a thoracotomy. And so literally they cut you open kind of from your sternum all the way around to your back. I had about 80 staples in my chest. I was in the hospital for, I think, about 20 days. And it was truly a horrible experience. So when I got out of the hospital, I'm sitting, at home, and literally just, walking from the front door to the couch was like a day's labor, a day's work. And that's really where home visits came out of. When I realized that going to another doctor's appointment is the last thing that you ever want to do at that point. And so I am sitting around. I had a what's called a PICC line, and it's a little tube that kind of comes out of your arm, because I had to go to the hospital every day for antibiotics for another 60 days, I think. So I, in all my, wisdom, I thought, I think I'll treat myself, because I have to do something to get better, because I really wasn't getting better. And so that's when I started treating chronic illness. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about, is chronic illness and recovering from it. It takes a long time. You have to do the correct things. And that's kind of the reason that Vibrant Life, came into existence, is to help people with chronic illness that's serious to, recover from. And so we have the ability to bring you in, treat you, keep you here if we need to. If you want to stay for a week or you want to stay for a few days, whatever works best for you, we can certainly come to you. But if you need real intense treatment over, weeks, then this might be the place for you. So, but that is, kind of my personal journey. And so from the time I started treating myself with chronic illness, I had to also get my weight under control, get my blood sugar under control, and, act like I was, kind of my own patient. And so that was only part of the journey. The next part of it I want to talk about is after coming through that surgery, I was on really potent painkillers. And so as those days went on, I think I was on for, 60 days, 90 days of a drug called Dilaudid. And Dilaudid is one of the more powerful things on earth. I needed to be on it because when I wasn't on it, my blood pressure would go up really high just from the pain. The pain was enormous. It would be impossible to exaggerate the pain coming from a thoracotomy. But as those months went on, I really developed a significant opiate addiction. And it really, kind of spun out of control as the months went by. You don't realize what's happening. You really just get to a place where you go, hey, I don't think I can live without this stuff, and I don't know that I can live with it. And you go through these different emotional phases where, you try to get off of it, or you try this, you go, I'm going to taper down. I'm going to, do all these different things. And so my ability to treat, opiate addiction really comes from my own experience with it. And, there's many things you can, that are tried out there. There's drugs like Suboxone, Subutex, Methadone. And quite frankly, I tried Suboxone, some different things. But, I had to get to a place where I said, hey, I got to put an end to this one way or another. I got to get myself healthy, and I got to get it together. But like anybody that is kind of controlled by a substance, whether it's food, cigarettes, alcohol, some behavior, you're trapped into, hey, I have to have this, and there's kind of no way out of it for you. And so we have, the protocol to bring you in here and detox you. And I don't want to say it's symptom free, but, from someone who's struggled with detox symptoms, I can tell you we do everything we can to control your symptoms. So I understand your fear, which is, hey, I don't want to go through those horrible weeks of trying to recover from that substance and really, struggle with that difficulty. So we basically keep you on IV for, 5 to 7 days. And, our patients sleep and they do well. And those protocols actually came out of me treating myself. There's nothing more miserable than laying there for 3 or 4 days, not sleeping, aching, and all the symptoms that you're familiar with. So if you're watching this video and you're concerned about detox symptoms, or you're concerned about not making it, or you're concerned about someone not understanding where you're at, don't be concerned about that. If you come here, I will know where you're at. I will know how you feel, and we'll do everything we can to get you through that phase and get you onto a healthy life. The other thing that we do that's a little different is, we want you off of everything when you leave. Now, there are a few circumstances if you're on a long-term drug that you've been on, like maybe an antidepressant or something like that. We don't really mess with that. But anything that you're using to really change your mood, or you're getting off the street or whatever, we want you free of that and clear of that. And we'll have a plan going forward for you to stay off of it, which will include food, your diet, supplements, all those type of things. The fact is we have to get results. We got to get you back into a productive pattern and get you back to being yourself. And if you're a family member and you're watching this, and maybe you've had a lot of experience with your family member, they're manipulative and they do all these different things to avoid the truth. The fact is, anybody that is really controlled by a substance or an activity, they're probably manipulative too. Whether it's ice cream or heroin or alcohol or whatever, we all tell ourselves things that are not true to make it more pliable, to our situation. You can rest assured, if your family member's here, they're welcome to say whatever they want to, but we know the truth, and they typically, when they know my story, all of the BS and all of the excuses and all those things go out the window. Because here's the deal: the true definition of a small drug problem is somebody else's. Because when you have one, it's a huge situation. And so that's why everyone who's dealing with those type of things really believe they're the worst. This is the worst situation. There's nothing worse than this. The truth is all of them are very similar. They have very similar controls over the patients or the people. And so my deal with patients is this. I'm not going to say I'm sorry, and I don't want you saying you're sorry to me, because I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, and I need you to follow through on what you do, and we'll get through this. And so that's my really program, the way that I deal with those type of patients. And as well, this isn't a 12-step program. We don't do groups. Sometimes people are here, it's just them and us. Occasionally there'll be multiple patients here, but this really is about getting healthy. This is really about learning where this is coming from and really restoring your health to a point that you've probably never been at. Most people that struggle with a substance, and when I say substance, I'm not talking about just a drug. I'm talking about, it can be food, it can be anything. But when you struggle with it, typically you've not felt well your entire life, and so that is your way. You stumbled onto something that kind of makes you feel normal. We want to get you feeling normal without that particular substance that you're really struggling with. So if you have any questions, or if you have questions about a family member, give me a call, 918-740-1612. Love to talk to you. We take calls late in the evening if we need to, but we really do everything we can to help your family member or help you as well. Thanks. Give us a call. See you later.